Hello again, everyone. So this is part 3 of our series of talking about intrusive thoughts, transient thoughts, OCD and HOCD thoughts. Let's continue to our discussion about, we were talking about the protective mechanism that we create and we extend to protect our biological portion of our existence, our entity. For example, when we go to a boxing ring, we have protective gear. When we go to maybe play soccer or some other sports, that we have protective gears for different parts of the body, including men would wear the cup for its martial arts or whatnot, so if they get hit there, they will be protected. If they get hit in their heads, they have the headgears. If they get hit somewhere else, depending on the sports, we have all these protection gears. But we neglect to see that our psyche also needs protection from the attacks that comes in. And the attacks are constantly coming in every day by thoughts, intrusive thoughts, transient thoughts. Anything that is known to mankind and universe can be turned into thought by intrusive thoughts, transient thoughts, and we have no system of protection. We've left it by itself, as if thought has no malice, has no danger, impose no danger to us, which in fact, thought is the root of all conflicts and all problems. When we had no thoughts, as we talked in the other segments of the video, 30, 40,000 years ago, we were not capable to think. We were just like other animals, spinal cords and the stem of the brain, and everything was hardwired, and everything was on instinct, and everything was known. There was no interference of anything like other animals. They knew who they are. They knew they're a lion or they're a tiger or they're an elephant, and they knew their gender, they knew their sexuality, they would eat, they would sleep, they would procreate, there was no question, there was no attack to anything, let alone their sexuality. Because there was no thought. So it was all protected. Now we have a capability of thoughts, which these thoughts can come up with almost anything during the day, and they're not our thoughts, they're just thoughts. We have a capability that these thoughts can appear in the form of intrusive and transient thoughts. So, what do? You have to have a protective gear for that. What are your protective gear? The core principles of your value, based on your biology, based on what it is that you are, your interests, all your life, how it is. You can't just one day wake up because something shows up in your head, an image or a sexual image of same gender, and you think, oh, that means, look, I'm going to be changed, I'm going to be this, my sexuality is going to be changed. What happens to you? How could you come up with that? It's a thought. You can walk in the street, you can see all kinds of things. Whatever your eyesight sees, then that's going to change you too? No, you just say, okay, I see this, well, I'll go away. I'm not interested in that, I'll go the other direction. Same thing in thought. Something shows up. You can't say, well, just because it showed up, it's going to change me. No, how could it change you? It had nothing to do when you were created. Thought had nothing to do with it. So how could the thought have anything to do with changing you, taking that, what you are, away from you? You got to logically look at this and understand that basically this is a misunderstanding about you knowing the relationship between you and thought, and put thought in its place by having a quality control measurements. So just by thoughts showing up should not affect you to doubt yourself. You got to be standing your ground and defending yourself physically and mentally, against anything that tries to change what you know of yourself to have always been and will always be, because that was done before you were born and come to this life. So there are a few things that we should be focusing on. That is, we should have a protective system against attacks. Whether it's physically, we gotta have a protective system, which we do. We go exercise, we go learn how to protect ourselves, martial arts, boxing, whatever it is, running fast, getting away. We have a system to protect our biological being. But we gotta have a system, as we talked about it, to protect our persona, our psyche, who we are, who we know we are. So thoughts, intrusive thoughts, transient thoughts, cannot attack it and bamboozle us and make us confused that, oh, now we gotta think differently because a thought showed up, therefore my biology could also be changed because a thought suggested that, when thought had nothing to do with me becoming and being who I am and created the way I am, and now suddenly thought has something to do, can threaten me, who I am, how I've been put together, and take that away from me. I should not allow such thought have such ability to influence me. How? By creating that gatekeeper, by creating that core principles, my life values, how I know myself, how I know my history, how I have been living, and that cannot be changed, and I will defend it with my last breath. First, you got to be loyal to how you're put together and what you know of yourself, and not so easily be bamboozled by anything that shows up. You're not supposed to be bamboozled at all. How? By having that idea that I will protect, knowing who I am, how I've been put together, what my history has been, how my interests are, what I like to be, and I love to be, and I will protect it to my last breath. When you have that commitment and loyalty and faithfulness to how you've been created, then you go on to find out how I can now stop these thoughts, because I am certain about these thoughts are irrelevant. So the question is not me questioning my sexuality or my gender because a thought popped up. Let me focus on the real question and not be distracted from the real question. And the real question is, how can I get these annoying thoughts understand that they should stop? Then you research about how these thoughts continue, why they continue, and the signaling problem and malfunction in the brain, and the OCD, which is based on that, doesn't go away because you think you have a obsession, then you have a compulsion, and then in these sort of cases, the compulsion is the thought, the data finding. You keep going, why, how, why is it there? When there is no answer to be had, there's no reason to have any answer for something that doesn't exist. Look, when thought comes up, where do you think thought comes up? From the information that we all human beings have been exposed to, that in the world that we live in, because it exists. Every kind of thing exists in the world, and we are aware of it. Our consciousness is aware of it. And those have been recorded in our memory through news, history, books, examples, movies, whatever it is that it has somehow come to, that information have come to our consciousness that in this world exists, something, whatever it is. So where are they stored? They're stored in the memory. So thought comes from that storage. And where is that storage? Memory. What is memory? Memory is in the past. Memory is always past. And past doesn't exist. Past, is gone. It is now, actuality, today, present. Past doesn't exist in the present. So if thought is happening, some kind of thought, intrusive, transient thought is happening from the storage, memory. Memory is full of stuff of the past, and the past is dead. Therefore, everything in the memory has no existence. Therefore, the thought that has been created, popped up as any form or shape in your head, is got no existence. It's part of the memory. Memory was the past. Past doesn't exist. Everything in it doesn't exist. This particular thought is part of that inventory from the non-existence of the past. Therefore, this thought itself has no existence. So when it doesn't have existence, how could it change anything anyhow? You're trying to find an answer to something that doesn't exist, which there is no answer to be had. It's a thought, an idea. And you are perfectly capable of, based on your core values, knowing yourself, reject it, like the quality control person at the manufacturing assembly line. That doesn't measure up, out. When you're sure of that, and then you understand that thoughts have no power, have no credibility, they're just there, and they're based on a non-existence of a question, non-existence of an inventory, non-existence of something that comes from the memory, and memory is the past. Past doesn't exist, therefore the thought itself is non-existence, and you're looking for an answer for something that doesn't even exist in reality and actuality. And yet you are in the now, you're trying to conjure, figure out something that has no existence to begin with. And you get bamboozled, because you keep going on and on and on, and there's never going to be any answer to be had, because there's no reason for an answer, because everything is irrelevant. That whole idea, the thought that has popped out is irrelevant. It's a thought, it's not your biological question. It's not coming from how you've been created, it's coming from a thought which is based on nothing, a malfunction. Based on making us believe that what image has come to our mind has an actuality. It doesn't. It's an image that exists in the universe, in the world. We have come to know that such images can exist, such ideas can exist, such things can be possible, but doesn't mean it's relevant to me or to you, in whose brain such image or such thought has popped up. Many things could be possible out there, and I'm aware of the possibilities out there, but doesn't relate to me. I don't know, the thought I can actually purposely think of, can I go to the moon driving my car? It's a thought, but it's not possible. I'm just an idea. So am I supposed to go after quickly I know the answer, and I don't have to dwell on it. But when it comes to our sexuality and a thought pops up, I gotta now. Why? Because it is so important to us that we have always been conditioned since childhood that we know ourselves by our sexuality, and we have to compare ourselves to everybody else, and I gotta make sure that, because that's the only way that you know yourself, so you give it such sensitivity that if something comes up of that nature, an idea, a thought, irrelevant, and you just go at it to war with it. You don't need to war with it. Just like a quality control, that doesn't measure up. It's incorrect. Not interested. And move on to what it is, the actuality of life, which is your efforts and what it is that you want to accomplish in life, instead of going after, goose chase to find something that there's no answer to it, because the question is non-existence. It's a bogus question. It's a rigged question anyhow. So don't waste your time. Stay loyal to what it is that you know of yourself, and then the research about the findings of the psychologists, psychiatrists, clinical psychiatrists, scientists, doctors who have explained what this intrusive thoughts and so on are, and base your knowledge on that, those researches, and help yourself to become aware of real knowledge rather than bamboozled by some irrelevant, fictitious, illusory thought. So, now, in the next part, I want to talk to you about why actually such thoughts bamboozle us so easily rather than just naturally be difficult to be bamboozled. I'll talk to you soon.